All right, folks, welcome back. Like I mentioned previously, this video is in the same format that the last one is in, unfortunately. For those of you that didn't see the previous one or two videos, I think I mentioned it in both of the previous two, but nonetheless, I had an issue as the end of the hurricane passed through the northeast part. We had power cut out at an unfortunate time, which caused me to lose a little bit of data in my capture gallery. Ugh, English language is tough. And so yeah, my video yesterday, SRL, the race was footage was lost, but we still had qualifying, and unfortunately all the footage for this race was lost, which is pretty unfortunate because it's an eventful race. There wouldn't be much skipping ahead in this one. A lot of stuff going on the whole time, especially in qualifying. Because as you can see, we were in pole position, our first pole position in Hyperdrive this season. And the way we got it was I was pretty warmed up on this track considering I just raced it the morning before in SRL and had great success there, as you saw in yesterday's video. And in this session, Q1 was dry. We put in a nice solid lap. Got into Q2, put in a nice solid lap, nailing our qualifying laps. And then as we go into Q3, we have the same kind of conditions that we had in the SRL qualifying yesterday, where it was intermediate conditions, except the conditions were getting worse as the session went on rather than better. But because I was still fresh and warmed up and remembered the changes I made in my laps over the course of the session in SRL. I nailed my first qualifying lap. I was pole position after everyone made their first run. And yeah, since the track got slower from then on out, we remained at the top of the timing tables and got our first pole position here in Hyperdrive. A great lap, if I do say so myself. Probably a little biased. And yeah, finally got that wet weather running that I've been looking for. I'm really hoping we get a full wet race at some point. It is still annoying that those issues I've had with the weather reports only in hyperdrive are still occurring, which is very frustrating. But nonetheless, at least it's an issue that everyone has to deal with equally. So I guess there's that. So into the race here, hoping to get a good start. And yeah, let's see what happens. This is going to be a little bit of a different format video. Again, I apologize, but I figured that this is still a hell of a lot better than nothing, unforeseen circumstances causing this inconvenience. But I promise the next video is not going to be like this. And yeah, I hope you guys can hear me while the game is still playing through. Like I said, different format here. We're going to get a great launch off the line, just enough to stay ahead into the first corner. Everything is nice and smooth so far. See cars running out wide in the background. And yeah, as you see, immediately fast forwards up to lap 10. And a lot has changed between lap 1 and 10. Like, for example, I'm in third now instead of first. Early on, in all honesty, I knew that I wasn't the fastest car on track, but I was the fastest car in the wet. But no wet running in this race, which was unfortunate for me. And early on, I thought I saw a couple opportunities to burn some ERS and extend out of the slipstream of the car behind, but that was not the case. And just like last week when we were racing at Britain, this is a track that I personally really don't like league racing for. It's nothing but slipstream, can't break away from the car behind, and 3 consecutive DRS zones in a row. Like, are you fucking kidding me? How are you supposed to defend it all in this track? So yeah, it's frustrating. I tried to burn my ERS to extend my advantage, but with the excessive DRS, were able to keep up. And then when I didn't have ERS, I did lose a couple positions. But hey, my goal overall was to have a nice solid race, hopefully come home with a podium. So at this point, this is still well within, my goal for the race. Again, I hope you guys can hear me as I talk while showing the replay at the same time. But just in case you can't, that's why I'm doing a lot of talking while while pausing. But yeah, speaking of that, pausing again here, we are back down in the P6. Something unfortunate that happened in the middle part of this race was that there was 2 safety cars, and they were really inconveniently timed for me. The people that started on mediums basically got bailed out for free by the first safety car to take the hards to the end. And the second safety car came out just before the window where we could go to softs, and that would, over the course of this race, cause us to slightly shuffle back the field, which is really frustrating when we have a good pole position and then you're getting swallowed up by cars because there's 3 DRS zones in a fucking row, and yeah, moving backwards, which is annoying, but hey, there's still over the half of the race to go at this point. Yeah, this was just after the first safety car. That's why everyone is still very close together. And that's a trend that you would see throughout the whole race, being very close together. A nice side-by-side shot as we would try to overtake Chalkers. We touch slightly. He gets loose, getting on the power on the exit of the corner. But yeah, nothing going. You could see that we had fall back to 9th at this point, and this was after the second safety car at this point. And you see the spin ahead, that was Julian would spin in front of us. And another thing that I should point out right now is that as the race progressed, a lot of people in front of me got time penalties, which may pay out positive for us in the long term of the race, as we were able to keep our nose clean the whole time. I guess the one nice thing about having this format for a video is that you get some nice different camera shots, different action views of the race rather than the way I usually do it. This slow motion camera shot is kind of useless though for trying to tell you what happened in the race. And yeah, a little bit of an Alfa Romeo sandwich at this point. And I do a really good job of missing the apex. I'm going to get overtaken by Kieran, who was on fresher tires at this point. So I was hoping to follow him through as he made up spots and then be able to pick off the cars as he overtakes them. And then we would gain another free position as Nigel would spin, still in the slipstream of Kieran ahead, so he would just be towing us forward. And what happened over the course of basically the rest of the laps is that there was this group that you see right in front of us, all like from the lead all the way back to, well, eventually all the way back to me, but the lead through 4th was all really tight together. And I was just slowly gaining on them lap after lap. And it was kind of frustrating seeing them, 4 seconds, 3 seconds up the road as the track, well, not the track, as the laps would trickle down. But then in the last 2 laps, they started fighting so hard that I was able to catch up to the pack. So here we are on the last lap heading up the hill to turn 3. I am absolutely full bore on the DRS and ERS, and chaos ensues in this corner. As we head up the hill, we got a ghost car in between us, which made it very hard to see. And we would come up under braking. I'm going to zoom it out here because you can't really see. What ends up happening here, a Constantina effect happens where the Mercedes in front of me makes contact with the Alfa Romeo in front of me, which creates a Constantina effect, which causes me to get back into the Mercedes, which then again gets back into the Alfa Romeo. And the moment this happened, I couldn't really see the Mercedes right in front of me because there was that lapped ghost car in front of me. So all of a sudden, I thought I was braking early enough to not hit anybody. The next thing I know, my front wings going into the rear bumper of Troye in front of me. Luckily, just enough of light of a bump that it didn't cause me any damage. But at the time, I kind of felt bad, but I just continued the race on because I'm like, hey, maybe someone else got contact in front of that caused that Constantine effect, and I wasn't sure. And it actually wasn't until the next day when I was looking at this footage that I realized, like, oh, phew, that actually wasn't my fault because I would have felt terrible gaining positions based off an incident that I caused. Yeah, Constantina effect happens in front of me. 2 cars go out wide, and just like that, after all the bad luck that we had, we're getting really loose on the throttle, the Alfa Romeo is there, and after all the bad luck we had in this race, we find ourselves right back to where honestly I thought my pace had me sitting, and that's P3. And the running would still be really tight. I would stay really close to Jordy ahead of me, but yeah, not enough space at the end of the lap in Sector 3 to be able to make any kind of a move. And we would come across the line for a solid P3 finish in a very eventful race that really had an emotional roller coaster ride for me. From the highs of qualifying to the lows of the beginning and middle of the race with the getting overtaken out of the lead and then bad time safety cars. It's very frustrating. But then to be able to fight through it, slowly claw my way through the positions, slowly crawl my way up to the leading group to eventually be able to catch them and battle with them on the last lap. Again, I felt bad at first because I thought that incident was my fault, but then it turns out, I just got lucky, and the way the Constantina effect happened to the contact just benefited me. And yeah, it's a crazy way to get a podium, but it's a podium nonetheless. A solid result for us. And yeah, I'll be hoping to keep this momentum going as we head to France for the next race, a track that a lot of people don't like. I'm okay with the track. I personally don't hate it that much, but it does seem to always be a track where I have terrible luck. So hopefully that'll change next week, and hopefully we don't have another issue with weather or power. So I don't have to use this kind of format for videos because I enjoy my regular format. But nonetheless, thank you to those that are still watching through these, I mean, quite frankly, shitty quality of videos compared to my regular ones. And yeah, we will see you guys in the next one, which is actually going to be the first race I have in the Extreme Dirt Racing series on the World of Outlaw games. I know I said previously that there was another league that I was going to be racing in the F1 game, but to make it very short, I am parting ways with that league. I have no idea what the fuck they are doing, but they kind of did me dirty to keep it nice and short. I'm not going to go into it. They don't deserve to have my time to go into it, but if it ever comes up in the future, they'll be best to just let this one get buried because I will just bring out some stuff I got waiting on the back burner just in case they ever come at us. But yeah, nonetheless, we're going to forget about that garbage league. It's a shame that a league with all the opportunity in the world and even backed by a former F1 driver just gets ran into the mud by people that have their own agenda. But nonetheless, we still are very busy as league racers. I still got hyperdrive, I still got SRL, and I still got the challenge of racing a completely different kind of car in a completely different game in a new league. So yeah, the next video you will see is my first foray into dirt track racing, and it is very eventful to say the least. Going to be one of the most exciting videos I've put up since the F122 game has come out. So yeah, I'll catch you guys in that one, and thanks again for watching.